Malzeno! As always, instructions for this monster model are available on my Patreon under the second tier membership, linked below. My instructions always come with a parts list and a guide on how to purchase the parts on Bricklink, the #1 LEGO resale site. I've made it as streamlined as possible. My instructions even come with a file that automatically creates a shopping cart of all the pieces used in the build. So it's never been easier to build these LEGO monsters. Alright, on to the build. Malzeno only has one in-game model, it's the Sunbreak model, and that's the model I use for the build, obviously. His color scheme is a mix of the organic colors and the metallic colors, which illustrates that undead vampire vibe. I used a mix of light gray, sand blue, dark red, and gold in order to try and achieve this look. I think I got the color blocking decent enough. I know some players have said that he turns darker when he goes all Morbius mode, but I think that he is fine as is how I have him here. I think if I made him any darker, it wouldn't... I don't think it would work very well. And that's just my opinion, though. Of course, the instructions version has some slight differences than what I have presently here in front of you. Like, for example, the forearms and the back feet are slightly different. On the instructions model, it's just slightly better on the instructions model. My instructions will always have the superior model. The one I'm showcasing in the video is just the one that I have, and then usually it's limited by what parts I have available. Malzeno is sized accordingly with the other Elder Dragons, so if you compare him to Kashela Diora, he is sized pretty similarly to Kashela Diora. However, he does look quite small if I bring in my Rathalos build, because the Rathalos should always feel smaller than the Malzeno. But I think just Rathalos in general just has a big frame, while Malzeno is a very sleek and thin frame, so maybe that's why. But I do know that, like, there is a cutscene where Malzeno has Rathalos in his mouth, and I'm not sure if I can make that happen. Just for the sake of consistency, here is a random LEGO minifigure, and that definitely makes Malzeno look huge, very intimidating. Here is a random Gachapon figure and a random Bionicle for action figure scale, and against other action figures, yeah, he looks a little bit small, but definitely if you're playing with this model against a hunter, a little LEGO hunter, Malzeno definitely plays the part of an intimidating dragon. Unlike a few of my last builds, which were really designed to be stable, Malzeno's head is quite fragile. It will just fall apart. It took some time to get Malzeno's face to look exactly right, and in order to pull off Malzeno's specific face, I had to use some very tender placements of parts, so it doesn't hold together very strong, but it does look right, and I guess in this case looking good triumphs over how well it plays. Similarly, his little like scarf, his vampire scarf, these all just fall off really easily. I know that like the little Quiro like to live in them, so maybe you can imagine, oh, it's the Quiro like leaving his body. Yeah, I guess that only goes so far. In order to bend his neck up and down, you have to make sure you move his little, the little things here so that his head can actually go down. But it can go down, and he can resemble more of a traditional dragon and less of a vampire if you just, you know, move some of his body parts around. The bulk of his build is actually identical to Kashela Diora. The wings are quite different, obviously. The body and limbs are structured the same way, and if you happen to build both of them, you'll probably see the overlap in the design. I basically reused the exact same torso design for both, and the tail is basically the same. The problem with this design is that the limbs are just very flimsy to begin with. The only limbs that are actually sturdy on this guy are his wings. The wings are designed to be sturdy and easy to pose in all the action poses that Malzeno can do in his attacks, But a lot like Kushala Daora, his actual 4 limbs that he stands on are quite flimsy, they're loose, and although they're posable technically, he's pretty floppy and it's pretty easy for him to fall over just by pushing him or just by wiggling him. The 2 smaller wings, winglets, little wings, I don't know, they're posable on the back, and of course the tail is posable and you can do some of the actions from the game. The bottom line is, there's a lot you could pose with this Malzeno build, but actually playing with it, doing his attacks, you'll probably have trouble and he'll probably break. Bottom line, he poses well, but you can't really play with him very well. He doesn't hold his shape. Overall, I'm happy with this Malzeno build. I think that he would look fine on a shelf, but I believe as a toy, I've failed at making like a good toy that a kid could actually play with and enjoy. He's just difficult to hold too. He doesn't have a good center of gravity, so the whole thing is sort of just lopsided and weird. He's also just covered in a lot of spikes and a lot of breakable parts, and I don't think that a kid would enjoy playing with this. I know that even just me, being the autistic adult that I am, I can't exactly easily just like make him do his wing attack where he uses the wing to, it just doesn't work. I'm sure in stop motion you could pull off some really cool stuff, but I don't have the patience for that. I want to quickly give my quick thoughts on Malzeno as a monster. I like Malzeno a lot. Actually, I love Malzeno. I think he's my favorite Sunbreak newcomer, and he's probably my favorite flagship of 5th gen. Honestly, I think that he was really well done. He is a huge improvement over Magnum Mallow, in my opinion, and he serves the narrative of Sunbreak really well and a lot better than the other 5th gen flagships have so far. He was a formidable challenge, and he still trips me up even in my endgame gear, which is great. While Sunbreak did not deliver on the Western yokai motif that they promised in a way that I would have liked, out of the 3 lords, I feel he fits the image of his Western yokai, the vampire, the best, and he does it very well. I was very surprised by his teleportation-like movement. I felt like I was fighting a real monster, and for an endgame G-rank final boss monster, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So that therein lies the gripe with Malzeno. The only gripe I have with Malzeno is that I feel like he should have been the actual final boss, and not just a supporting position to the true final boss. I'd rather the quote-unquote final boss be some unrelated siege, something like Dalamadur or Fatalis that's just completely unrelated, so that we could have had a more climactic, conclusive battle against Malzeno, which is this terrifying vampire dragon. And I like the concept of Malzeno. I just don't know if they really executed him the best in Sunbreak, even though I do think they executed him better than Magnum Mallow, for sure. I hope Malzeno returns in the future, preferably in a mainline game where the player is even more held back and reduced in their abilities, so that the fight is in the favor of Malzeno entirely. Like I said before, I would like Malzeno as a final boss endgame G-rank monster, like how Valstrax was treated in Base Rise. I feel like Malzeno should be considered like Fatalis level, final demon final boss. Overall, he's very cool. I love this monster, and I think he deserves a better game. Thank you all for watching. I want to give special thanks to my patrons. I have over 100 now. I cannot thank you guys enough. Thank you so much for the support. As always, check out my Patreon, the 2nd tier membership. You get instructions for this model and all my other models. Always. There's more model builds on the way. Well, I gotta reveal what's coming next, don't I? And I hope you guys are excited. Malzeno's just taking a drink. He's taking a nap. I hope you guys are excited because next time is the banned monster Lagiacrus. I hope you are excited. I don't know how soon I'm gonna release. Oh, there goes his head. But he's next, so see you all next time. Bye-bye.